Welcome to Feel Safe in Your Body. I'm Victor Goenka. My guest today runs three businesses, came through a divorce after 16 years, and is now a full time single dad to two kids. By every external measure, a capable man who handles things. And then something happened that a lot of high functioning people will recognize. The chaos finally quieted, and his body panicked. Actual panic attacks for the first time in his life. His nervous system was so used to daily crisis that it didn't know what to do with calm. He had to learn from scratch how to be okay in peace, with no fire to put out. Today, we talk about that, about men's mental health, and about what living a full life actually looks like. One arc, like always, where he started, what wired him, what turned it, and what safety feels like now. Let's go. Welcome, Braden.
Thanks, man. Perfect. I love it.
Before the panic attacks, you were a man running three businesses, used to
Yes,
daily
sir.
chaos. Take me into that. What did living in constant crisis, solving mode, feel like your body has to combat back when it was just normal life?
I think when life was busy, it was just part of life, right? I knew how to jump from one thing to the next. It was chaos at work, chaos at home, and I part of me kind of thrived on that because I did it for so long. And then, when we first separated and then decided to get divorced, and things kind of calmed down with the businesses, like I didn't have the crises to solve anymore. And so like I literally didn't know how to handle it. Like my body was like rejecting the calm and the peace. It was hard to like figure out what that was. Like I literally thought I was having a heart attack. Like the first time I experienced a panic attack, like I'm 41 years old. This happened when I was 40. I literally called a doctor, went into like the emergency room. I was like, I need to be checked. Like there's something wrong with me. And they checked, they did like all the tests, right? The blood pressure, the whole thing, and they're like, dude, you're fine. Like you're health wise, you're in amazing shape. Like this must be you're here for mental health reasons. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no, there's something physically wrong with me. Like this is not normal. But that's when I kind of learned, like, okay, this it was a straight up panic attack. Like it was the being calm, the not having the crisis and the chaos in the house. I I didn't know how to cope with it, and so I actually did start doing breath work. My younger sister is a emotion processing yoga coach, and so she does a lot of like breath work and teaches like different stretches in your body to kind of help regulate your immune system, the whole thing. And so I called my mom, like freaking out. She's like, you need to call your sister. And so I called her up and she like put me through one of these little exercises, and it really just like it helped. It felt like 2 hours long. And she was like, that was about 30 minutes. I was like, what? Like it really kind of helped to put things in perspective. So then as a high performer, I have to research everything. And so I started reading into like meditation and, breath work and all of that good stuff. And now it's just part of my daily life. It was a difficult change to kind of manage at first because I didn't know what to do. My body was just revolting against me. But yeah, now it's just like cool. It's just I love meditating, and I used to like make fun of that stuff for the longest time. I used to make fun of my sister for her job. I was just like, that's not a real job. Like, so it's funny how you just grow and you learn, and things happen to you, and you change.
Yeah, but breathwork is pretty magical.
Oh,
It can silence your mind. It can allow you to zoom out, observe, understand that you're not the anxiety, you're not the depression. It doesn't need to define who you are. Here's the part of your story I find remarkable. The chaos quieted, and that's when the panic started. Walk
yeah.
me through it. What was it like to have your first ever panic attack, not necessarily in a crisis, but in the calm?
Yeah, that's why I thought there was something physically wrong with me. I was like, I have nothing to solve. I was a typical wake up first thing in the morning, but before the sun rises, work out, have a strict morning routine, get into the office before everybody else, work all day long, leave after hours, and get home, just in time to basically have dinner, say goodnight to the kids, and then have it start all over again. So like that was, my daily routine for the most part. Then I started experiencing a few problems at home. Just for a little more background, my ex-wife is an alcoholic and couldn't really ever get it under control, and so that just caused more and more chaos at home. And so I decided to be at home a little bit more often. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to be at home more often, I need to put systems in place to manage things while I'm gone. So I spent like a year building some really behind the scenes like software type stuff to kind of help run and do things that I didn't have the time to do anymore, as well as hired some people to kind of, handle other parts of the business. So, I was in that scaling phase. And so once it started to work, it didn't require as much of my hands-on time anymore. And so that's when I was just like, okay, now I can be at home, right? I can support my wife, I can support my kids. And that's, generated all kinds of new chaos and insanity. It was just a wild change to kind of go through.
A nervous system adapted to chronic high
Yeah.
can read calm as threat, right? So the absence of crisis feels wrong, even dangerous, because the body was organized itself around constant alarm. So
No,
like
that's it, man.
calm,
Yeah.
yeah, calm becomes the unfamiliar alerting state, right?
Yeah, in my mind, if I'm sitting down for too long or if I'm not doing something, I'm being unproductive. And I've had a lot of therapy since this as well, and so I think a lot of it goes back to as a child of being the oldest in my family, the firstborn. Like a lot of my self worth was tied to accomplishments, and so if I wasn't working or doing something, I'm worthless. And so when I finally calm down and just sit in that silence, it's like, no, 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 this is not okay. You have to get back to work. You got to do stuff. But I realized that's just incorrect wiring in my brain. I had to unlearn a lot of that stuff. So, but yeah, that's it, man.
You said it perfectly. Your body didn't know what to do in a calm environment. Where do you think your system first learned that it always needed a crisis to solve?
Yeah, that goes back to just deep roots. I don't know what it is. Being the firstborn in my family. Like my dad was always working. My mom is kind of an entrepreneur slash stay at home mom, so she was always busy working. I also grew up with my grandparents, and they were both always doing something, had some sort of project. I very rarely saw them like sit down. So I think in my young mind, it just seeing all the adults around me and the people I was being raised by, they didn't sit down. And so I learned that was not a good thing. You can't relax. That's not okay. You have to be working all the time because that's what life is. I think it just goes back to observations as a young child of what I saw.
And then through your sister, you found breath work, yoga, right?
Mhm.
Meditation,
Yep.
tapping. I've been hearing a lot about tapping also. As a
So
man in panic, not someone with it figured out, what was the first thing that actually reached you? The first time your body started to believe calm was actually safe for you?
I vividly remembered it was during a meditation session. Now, like it really helps kind of get you back to a level spot. But then when I was already level, I started doing meditation sessions, and I still very vividly remember it because again 41 years old now. This happened when I was 40. I remember literally my entire life I never quite felt that I was good enough. I remember at the end of every single day, no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I did, no matter what I accomplished, it was just like, I could have done a little bit better. Like I'm going to do better tomorrow. And I never allowed myself to feel worthy of myself, if that makes any sense. I didn't have any self value from a mentality standpoint. But I remember going through a meditation session, and and then it was a day where I really didn't do a whole lot accomplishment wise, right? Like I didn't close any big deals. I didn't do anything crazy. I just had a day, and I remember feeling that I was good enough. That I was like, you know what, I know I did the best I could today. And I know, sure, there's always a chance that I could do a little bit better, but I know for a fact that I did the absolute best that I could today. And I finally felt that self-worth of like, you know what? I am good enough. I am doing enough. And sometimes doing enough, it has nothing to do with accomplishments. It just has to do with living your life and knowing that you did what you could for the day, and you get up and do it again. And so it was just this really clarifying moment. It actually brought me to tears. I've got a 14-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter, and they had never in their lifetime seen me cry. Like we've been to funerals, we've been through some really traumatic experiences in life. I'm good at those. I know how to handle those chaotic moments. That's where I thrive. But they had never seen me like break down and cry. And it was just the most freeing moment of my life. Like I just was like, I'm just proud of me, man. Like I feel so good. And it was just really cool to have that feeling. And so now it's just like, yeah, like calm is necessary. Like the life that I'm living now, the things that have changed, like sure, I'm still running businesses, but like they've slowed down, and I don't have to put in the amount of physical effort I had to do in the past to build them. I'm in a good spot. I'm here to raise my kids. Like it's just a different chapter of life, and it feels very fulfilling because it has nothing to do with the accomplishments. It has to do with that internal processing of me just realizing that I am enough and that I'm going to continue to move forward in the things that I love. And that's it. Yeah. That I'm enough.
Sounds like you tapped into authentic self-love, self-appreciation,
Yeah.
rather than just living in self-judgment, right?
And that's it. I had a lot of like memories of when I was a kid. And so I almost phrase it as I remembered who I really was. It was more of like an awakening of like, dude, this is who you've been the whole time. You just you don't care about what others think anymore. You don't have your self worth tied to accomplishments or other things. Like you know you're good enough for just you, and that's all that matters. So
You said something striking that you had to learn to be okay in peace and calm with no crisis to solve. How do you even practice that? How does a crisis built nervous system learn that stillness isn't a threat?
yeah, it's not something that happens overnight. It's a daily practice. After there was so much chaos in my home and so much, chaos in my business, that when I, you know, moved myself out of those situations and experienced that calm, like it was difficult to just figure out. It just takes practice. Like, a lot of it was breath work in the beginning. I did a lot of like anytime the panic would start to steep in, I would do breath work, did a lot of yoga, did a lot of like stretching, a lot of moving my body. And I got some really good advice. I don't even remember who gave it to me, but the best advice I got was just allow yourself to feel it. I think I had so much emotion that was being processed from just years and years of, traumatic and chaos that I wasn't allowing myself to feel anything. I was just moving on to the next problem to solve. So that when I finally didn't have any problems to solve, when I was just sitting with myself, I felt all of it all at once. And it was extremely overwhelming. It's a day-to-day practice. It didn't happen overnight, but just sitting there and allowing yourself to feel all of it. Like not trying to understand it. I'm a very analytical person, so I try to be able to understand everything, but it's like, no, you don't have to understand it. You just have to feel it. And it is something that you have to just do. You have to practice it daily, just like with anything else in life, right? Like, you want to get stronger, you work out. You want to be healthier, you start to eat better food. And it's those small daily habits that just stack up over time. And so that was one of the daily habits that I had to start doing was just sitting with my feelings. No music to distract me, no TV on, no, turning the phone on, do not disturb, and just letting whatever comes come.
Yeah, and the mind always wants to explain everything analytically and logically,
Yeah.
and the logic cannot explain the feeling.
No, no.
I completely agree with you that it's two completely different exercises. You can use your analytics in math, physics, but you
Mhm.
shouldn't be using math and physics in emotional intelligence, let's say.
No, yeah, there's no logic in emotion, and so and the more you try to make sense of it, the worse it gets, and I think that's where panic attacks can get even worse. And so if you just try to shut that part of your brain off and just feel it, and just allow yourself to feel it, and know that there are no such thing as a bad emotion, right? Like getting rid of the shame and the guilt feelings were also things that take time. No room for those, and so I think it was just by trying to process that and make sense of it, it was making it worse. And so, but it's just like, no, it's okay. Just feel it. Just, it is what it is.
You're a full time dad to two kids while running three businesses. That's a lot of legitimate intensity. How do you tell the difference now between real demands and your old addiction to chaos?
Oh, that's a great question. I had to shift things. This was the hardest thing to learn, that I come first, right? Like I always put other people's needs before me. I always put, my clients first, my family first, my ex-wife, the kids, but it's like, no, I have to put me first. And I had a lot of guilt surrounded by that too, because it feels selfish. It feels like, well, no, I don't want to be a selfish asshole, excuse my language. Like I genuinely care about others. And so, but by prioritizing that mental health and by prioritizing that, it shapes the whole rest of the day. So yeah, things still come in. There's still needs that arise, but it's like, what do I need right now? And feeling okay with that, and knowing that's not the wrong thing, is something I had to learn how to do. It's putting my own needs first, and then scheduling everything else around that, basically.
How do you know in your body that you're safe right now?
Ooh, so I've learned to finally understand and trust myself. You can call it a gut, you can call it an intuition, whatever it is. I had ignored a lot of those types of things during my, marriage years, of like, oh, well, my gut says this doesn't make sense, but logically it makes sense. So we're going to move forward with logic. And so it's almost like throwing some of that logic out the window and just learning to trust myself. I'm pretty in tune with it now. I never pretend to be an expert with this stuff, but like it, I've learned so much over the past couple of years that I kind of just know what's right and wrong, and I kind of know what's best for me, and I don't care what anybody else thinks. I know if it makes sense. Like I have no problem saying no to things now, and that used to be really difficult for me to do. Like I would, I was saying yes to absolutely everything, even though deep down I knew I didn't want to do it. Now, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. It's like, no, sorry, that's not going to work.
And does calm still ever trip the alarm when the old needs a crisis full shows up now? Do you do differently than during the divorce?
It's something that takes practice. The those chaotic moments still slip in, and my initial gut reaction is to just jump into action, and I have to pause. So just taking 30 seconds and just pausing before I like jump to anything has been very helpful for me. I'll just like, okay, like let's think through this. Do I really need to just handle this right now, or can I just take a moment? And then that helps with, prioritizing things, and it kind of just settles my mind down.
You want to talk about men's mental health. You're a successful man who had panic attacks and worked through them with breath and yoga. What
Yeah.
do you wish more men understood about all of that?
That it doesn't make you weak. There's we have this masculinity that men feel that we have to have, right? We have to be strong. We don't show emotion. Yeah, whatever it is you may have been taught growing up, right, or what society may think, but that is not what a strong man is. A strong man is, allowing yourself to feel it, sharing your thoughts with others, and knowing when it's okay to ask for help. I had a lot of moments where I felt just extremely alone, didn't know who I could talk to, and I have a really great friend who is just an ambassador for men's mental health. And anytime I was having too hard of a day, I'd give him a call, and he would just, no judgment. He's not there to answer any questions for me. He's not there to solve any problems. He was just there to listen. And so now, like, I try to be that for other people as well. I don't need to solve anything for you. I don't have the solutions to your problem, but if you just need a safe place where you can just vent and share all the shit and everything that you're feeling, I'm happy to be that person for you. And so, because he was that for me, and I think more men need sounding boards like that, right? Without judgment, without worried about what else someone else is going to think or say, or there's no wrong feeling, and life can get very overwhelming. And the other side of that is, I'm a very independent person, never asked anybody for help. And during these last couple of years, I had to. Like, I physically couldn't do a lot of things on my own, emotionally, mentally, physically. And I had to reach out and ask for help. And that was so hard for me. But I had to do it. And what's crazy about that is like I know if anybody ever came to me and asked for help, like of course I would just jump and do it for them, right? I'm happy to help anybody with that stuff. But just the simple act of asking for help was so difficult for me because I don't know why. Like I don't know if it looked as like a form of weakness or whatever it might be. It's always okay to reach out and ask for help when you need it. So that I'm a big believer of that with men's mental health because we get overwhelmed and life sucks sometimes and you sometimes don't know what to do and just know that there's always somebody out there that can help. You just never know who it is.
Yeah, I resonate with that deeply. And asking for help is a superpower, finally.
I agree.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. And why we cannot ask for help is because shame is something that governs our process of thinking, and the logic takes over again, back to logic. It says, no, I can be strong. I'm supposed to be strong.
Right.
But actually, being able to ask for help is strength.
It is a strength. Yeah. No, everything is on the other side of fear. Anytime you're afraid to do something, when you can step up and have the courage to do that, I mean, that's literally the opposite of a weakness, right? Like that's the biggest form of strength that there is. Just putting out new definitions for what strength is in, men's mental health for everybody, right? Like what strength actually is. So
And someone listening who is exactly where you were, successful, busy, addicted to crisis, terrified, unsettled by stillness, what's the first move towards teaching their body that calm is safe? Something doable this week, today.
ooh, yeah, just sit. Sit in your thoughts, man. Like, journaling is also really helpful. I think there's so many helpful tools out there. You just got to try one, right? Like for me, it was I call it my yoga meditation, right? Like it was I especially for somebody that struggles with sitting still. The yoga is helpful because it still allows you to move your body. So you're not like sitting still because I would still kind of freak out when I would just try to sit still and do the breathing exercises. But by stretching and moving my body, I think it allows you to kind of connect with yourself on a deeper level. So take 10-15 minutes and just stretch. Don't have any music on, shut the door, like don't allow any distractions and just try to turn it all off. Just sit, stretch, feel, breathe, and I'm telling you, it makes such a big difference. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I work with breath for over 8 years, and the main thing I work with is that overthinking mind, the chatter, and what the breath work really does, especially holotropic breath work. It does turn off that chatter.
It does.
It makes you hear yourself clearly. Rather than multiple voices chatting to you, you begin to hear one voice of that intuition. And if
Yeah,
you trust it, then you definitely know what you're supposed to do or what you should be doing and what you're ignoring.
I agree with that, man. Because it's a quiet voice, and you have to shut off all those other ones in order to hear that true self one. I feel like mine was lost for a lot of years. Was hiding or just was again too quiet to be heard because of all the other voices. It unlocks some pretty cool things in your life when you allow yourself to just find that again.
And for the man who's never told anyone he's struggling, what do you want him to know?
That it's okay to let people know that you're struggling. There's probably more people like you than you realize. I I when I finally was brave enough to kind of, share and ask for help, I found that there are a lot of people that were in very similar boats to me and they were able to help me in so many different ways. And so just, don't be afraid to let people know that you're struggling. It's okay. There's everyone's struggling in their own way. And if you don't share what's going on with you, you'll never have a chance to learn and grow and maybe even help somebody else at the same time.
Love that. Where can people find you and the work that you do?
So yeah, so I'm in, real estate and mortgage finance and marketing, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of it. So either Braden Hatch or Hatchman, and you'll find me.
Any problems you have, you just search up Hatchman. Hatchman can solve your problems.
That's right. Always happy to help.
If your mind is loud and your body never quite settles, that's the work I do inside BreathX Collective and one on one with a few people. Links are also in the show notes. I'll link Hatchman in the show notes as well. This was
Awesome.
Feel Safe in Your Body. I'm Victor Goenka. Thanks for listening and thanks for being here.